I really connected with this guy, Mike Battaglia, the president and CEO from Blink Charging. He was in studio a couple weeks ago, and I'll tell you, it was a really good interview because we got so much response from it, and I think you're going to be hearing a lot more from him. Michael, take it away.
Mr. Battaglia, again, President CEO, Blink Charging, ticker symbol is BLNK. And Mike, we're so happy he came back on with us as quickly as he did. Mike, I know how busy you are. Thank you again for your time, sir. How are you?
Yeah, good. My pleasure, guys. Good to see you.
Hey, can we catch up for the people who didn't catch our interview last time? Just give us a top down on what you guys do, because there's so much here. And as I said when you were in studio, you are literally at the right place at the right time.
Yep. No problem. So Blink is an EV infrastructure company, and we go to market in two ways. We sell hardware, electric vehicle hardware, and the entire tech stack that powers that. And then the second way we go to market is by installing, owning, and operating infrastructure, both what we call level 2 infrastructure and level 3 infrastructure. So some of the slower chargers as well as some of the faster chargers. So those are essentially the two ways we go to market, which is really unique in the industry, because usually companies do one or the other, but not both. And so, we love our business model, and we think over the long term, it's going to be very successful.
I think what's interesting is that the current state of EV charging market and the growth potential really makes it so that you guys have to be really nimble in terms of how fast technology is changing, right? I mean, the stuff you thought, listen, I followed your story, and I continue to really dig into it. And, you always sort of have done exactly what you thought you were going to do. However, the things are changing. I don't know how you're doing it, because point B is a better point B, but it's not the same it was when you started. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, it's actually a great question. So one of the things that we did recently, actually, in order to address that, is Blink actually was manufacturing our own level 2 equipment. And because of what you said and the economics and the scale of manufacturing, we decided to discontinue that and to move it all to contract manufacturing. So we're pursuing a really asset-light model. We want to spend our money not on internal operating expenses, but we want to spend our money on external CapEx. So that's one area, is shifting the company from in-house manufacturing to contract. The second area is that when we talk about DC fast charging, or level 3, or what a lot of your listeners may know as like a Tesla supercharger, that type of equipment, I often equate it like buying a 4K TV. Over time, at some point, you got to buy a 4K TV, but 6 months later, it's going to be better, faster, clearer, and cheaper. And so you have to be very, very careful about managing your inventory. But the good news is the technology keeps improving. And if you're nimble, and if you don't carry a lot of inventory, and you have a light balance sheet, you can pivot where the technology is headed and basically offer or install the latest and greatest stuff.
Mike Battaglia, President CEO, Blink Charging, ticker symbol BLNK. So, Mike, even if it says like Tesla supercharger or Costa supercharger, whatever,
which it never would, by the way.
I'm hoping one day. Is it Blink Brains? Is it Blink Technology? Is that what is inside of it? Is that where you guys?
Yeah. So good question, Mike. So the hardware is the hardware, but what is kind of the secret sauce behind the hardware is the network, the cloud-based software network that powers the charger. So what does that do? Number one, at a very simple level, it enables transactions. It enables consumers to pay for their EV charging session on that charger. That's number one.
Okay.
Number two, what it enables you to do is for whoever owns that charger, so whether it's Blink or whether it's someone that we sell the charger to, they can log into the platform and they can see everything happening with their charger. So how much revenue am I generating? What am I charging? What is the utilization of that charging station? Is someone there right now charging the vehicle? Then we start to extend into things like that are more sophisticated, like energy management services. And, for instance, if the grid is stressed at a particular point in time, and thankfully that conversation has moved to data centers and not so much on EV charging, but that was certainly a focus a couple of years ago.
Sure.
But it enables us to do things like throttle the power level that's going through the charger down if there's an electricity demand event. So it does all of these things. So that is our own IP.
Hey, Mike, I wanted to ask a question about where do you think we're at with the general consensus of EV adoption in the country as a whole, and what are some of the hurdles that you're seeing? I mean, besides the infrastructure and some of the things you've already talked about.
Yeah, one of my favorite questions. So, first of all, when we talk about is this a fad or is this a secular trend? What's really interesting about it is a secular trend. The where the industry got ahead of itself a few years ago is everybody said, "Oh my gosh, every single car on the road is going to be EV." And that's absolutely not the case. But there's a role for the electric vehicle powertrain in in parallel with internal combustion engine, hybrid, et cetera. The question is, what's the use case? What are the products that are available in the market with consumers? What we've seen is that countries like China, Europe, the UK have very, very strong electric vehicle adoption, and it continues to grow. I think in the US, we got out of the gate really fast. Then demand wasn't as high as what automakers were expecting. So they kind of whipsawed back and pulled back some of those plans. But over time, we're going to see that normalize, and we're going to see the market reach parity or reach its water level, so to speak. And there's going to be a few companies surviving and thriving, like Blink and others, that are going to be able to take advantage of that resiliency in the market when it hits.
It's what's interesting is you say there, and I appreciate you taking the time. I know we're taking you longer than we anticipated. And we'll be talking to you next week or the week after. But what's interesting is you're putting yourself in a position where, unlike them, the folks you just talked about, you don't have to react. You can respond really ahead of time in terms of what's coming down the pipe, because it's a really different position that you guys have put yourself in. I appreciate you taking the time, Mike. I know it was a last-minute interview, but it was such a good interview last time. We want to start following this company, and we're going to keep seeing you here. Thanks, pal.
Mike Battaglia.
Thanks, guys. Good to see you.
President, CEO, Blink Charging, ticker symbol BLNK. All right, keep it here. We are just underway. Another jam-packed, big biz show coming your way. Don't go anywhere.